Hey guys, how's it going? This is Photos999, in response to Ian B's great videos. Well, first off, I wanted to say a little something about strafing. I really, really like the idea. I think it would add a lot of depth to the game, and, yeah, the way, I'm not quite sure how he imagined strafing, or you, Ian B, but the way I kind of imagine it is there's a game I would play, it's called Ratchet and Clank, and you would control your character using the camera. Or at least the camera would always stay behind your character, so you move the camera, you turn the character. That's the way I imagine it to work. Turn it on and off, what I was thinking it would be a lot like lock-on. So what would happen is you would click something like L3 or something like that, it would activate strafe mode, much like you click R3 and you activate lock-on. That's generally what I would think for strafing. I think it's a brilliant idea. I absolutely love it. I guess for some of my ideas is PvE needs something more. I got this game whenever it first came out, and it's the PvE just isn't cutting it for me. I mean, Moonlight Knight just hat off to your hoodie in this case, but that's not my cup of tea. But I would love, love, love for this game to have a PvE experience that can be experienced over and over again, the kind of challenge that you would want to go through the game again. Most of my ideas are on PvE and the general PvE thing. So what I'd first like to start with is PvE learning. Not real learning, but what I'd like to see is kind of level system that you don't ever see it, but it's definitely there. Be a lot like character tendency, but a little more, bit more drastic. What I think of this is it will be based off of your skill level. First off, your skill level will be determined by a few factors like how many deaths you have, how quickly you kill enemies, how many hits you take, those kinds of things. But mostly it would be based on deaths. So the longer you go without a death with progress, the more levels you get. Or the more enemies you kill without dying, the harder it would get. That'd be something like that. But it would be levels 1 through 9, level 1 being the easiest. The AI would be simple. This would be noob mode. So, I mean, simple AI, you'd have stuff like what you see in the Berg or even in the Asylum. They wouldn't really have much common sense. They'd be fairly easy. So you'd progress very rapidly from that level. It'd soften the curve. But about like maybe 1 through 4, they're kind of soft. The skill levels just kind of go up little by little. Once you get to something like level 5, then it starts hiking it up more and more. So your enemies have better dodge timings, they have better swing timings, and better parries, things like that. I'd like to see enemies that can actually parry, seeing as enemies do parry. And I don't mean the silly, oh, I'm parrying you, don't touch me. I don't mean that. That's just silly. Just more skilled opponents. And once you get to like level 9, like you're going along, you're level 8, you're just like, I'm a boss, I'm killing everything. You get to level 9, suddenly there are black phantoms everywhere, and stuff like that, just to hike it up, give you that extra thing to make it tougher. Also, roaming enemies. I like that idea, but not a lot of roaming enemies. My idea on the subject goes back to my level 1 through 9. At level 1, there are little to no roaming enemies. As you get to 9, and you've got plain out black phantoms running around. Black knights probably would start appearing around like level 3, 4, somewhere around there. They would get more frequent as you progress upwards. I mean, they wouldn't be like just popping out of the woodwork at level 9, but they would be more frequent. Kind of like how the vagrant system should have been. That kind of thing. Of course, I would assume it would be a lot like, it would be like character tendency as well. whenever you're level 9, you get epic drops all the time. Also, sorry if my voice suddenly drops and the audio and everything kind of syncs out. My laptop doesn't especially like me at this moment. Let's see. And then co-op. For co-op, what you would do is it would be based on the difficulty as well. So whenever you go, so say you're at like, I'm thinking you would average the 2 players' difficulty. So if you have a co-op partner who has a crazy difficulty, and you have a host that's low, then there would probably be some sort of averaging equation. But so maybe like the host has like 2 shares, and then the summon has 1, so then you average those 3 and you get what the level should be, with an added difficulty to make up for the extra player. Something I would like to see as well in the online is hosts, multiple hosts in a level. Sorry if my light goes out. Just the kind of thing where if I die, the other person keeps on going. Real co-op kind of thing. But at the same time, if somebody dies, you'll have to go back to the bonfire to get back together with them. And if you leave the area, and they're not close behind, then you'll break contact with their world. Something like that could go with the Covenant system, or I would like to call it an allegiance system. I wouldn't think they'd want to use the Covenant system anymore. What I mean by allegiance is you would start off by having an allegiance to somebody. Wait for my video to kind of level out. Okay, sorry about that. And you would have a home base. Items, this is something I would like to see as well. I'd like to see a lot of things. Just a cleaner, better game, you know? Everything better. But no, serious topic. I'm talking about a game. I just completely lost my train of thought. Hoodie Ninja completely is not smooth right now. Here we go. Your allegiance would say where you're based at. It would be kind of a Nexus-ish thing with a much wider open world. That's not quite based off of progression quite so much, but more discovery, co-op, those kinds of things. But it still be fun for PvE. I have to think about people like Moonlight Knight. I know they're more like him. Maybe not more like him, he's just an exemplary guy. For playing it this long and still enjoying it, wow, props to him. But with most people for internet, I'd like to see something that makes it more friendly, more enticing to go online. Alright, I was supposed to say that at the end of this. I've got it all in a nice little list, but alright, let's see. I was going to talk about the stats. I'm kind of disappointed with the stats as they are. They were great for Demon Souls. Wonderful. Brilliant. But the first thing I would like to see is endurance. I'd like to see endurance not determine the armor classes, or the armor weight that you can wear. I'd rather see that, just to go back to the carry weight that you had in Demon Souls. I'd like it to have that. Maybe. But I would like to see it go to 99 instead of just 40. Having endurance or your stamina stop at 40 is just really disappointing for me. So I'd like to see the stamina rise all the way to 99, just like every other stat. Endurance got gimped. Strength. Again, I'd like to see all of the stats have more in-depth stuff. So before you put out some hate for me, everybody, I'm going to be going through each stat that I think about, not like vitality. Vitality, it's vitality. You don't do much with vitality. It makes you healthier. I'd like each stat to have extra stuff to make it cooler, so that whenever you're making builds, you're thinking, oh man, I would love to have this, but I want this and this, and oh man, but I want these stats, and you think, okay, well I can get this and this with having these stats, but then they won't be as powerful. I would really love to see that kind of in-depthness, but not to the point of crazy, where it doesn't make sense. It's like, I can't figure this stuff out. It doesn't make sense. So first thing I would like to see is strength. Strength I would like to have to do with your roll and your, or maybe a duality. Invented a new stat, the new useless stat, except this time it's actually useful. Agility. Agility and strength would say how fast you rolled. But I will talk about agility later. Strength right now. I would like to have armor have strength requirements just like weapons, except there would be an obvious anti-buff if you had, or negative buff, negative effects, if you were to be using an armor piece you couldn't wear. So for a headpiece, it would be like you can't see as far. Excuse me. For a hand piece, you might swing more slowly. You might not be able to aim as well with anything. You might not. I was about to reveal something about Faith, but just things like that. They would get slower, wouldn't work as well. If your leg armor was too heavy, then you would run more slowly. That kind of a thing. If your chest armor was too heavy, it might make your rolling go down, even if you're able to carry that much weight easily. Just because it has to have a penalty. Again, something I would like to see in armor classes is that you have bigger tiers. So you have like cloth, and simple, very light armor. Then you go to kind of like chain, heavier armor. And you have like thin alloy, stone, and then ultra heavy. And this stuff is like pure out fantasy. But for that kind of thing, you would have to have massive amounts of strength, like the Demon Great Hammer. It's really friggin'. Oh, please don't slow down, computer. Sorry, the thing goes black after a short while. Messed with my train of thought again. Damn you, laptop. Anyway, those armor classes would determine something special, though. If you had, you could just add on regular defense using them, so just put on some heavy gloves, whatever. But what I would like to see with that is backstab mechanics changed. My backstab mechanics, this goes into dexterity, which will be the next stat that I talk about. The heavier chest and leg armor you have on, or the higher the armor class, the harder it is for people to backstab you. Meaning, if they don't have enough dexterity, or if they have a weapon that's too big for their low dexterity, then they can't backstab you. So if somebody has low dexterity and a large weapon, they can't backstab somebody, really anybody. If they have small dexterity, but they have a stabbing weapon, they might be able to stab somebody with, if they have fair dexterity, or, no, sorry, if they have middling armor, those kinds of things. So you're not quite so backstabbable if you're wearing a big stone chest, or some massive alloy stone magic chain thing. Just fill it with your imagination, something really big and really cool. I do have more thoughts on the armor. I'll leave that. Actually, no. Now's the time. I was thinking about once you get to the super heavy armor, you don't roll anymore. You go into a super defensive poise defense, just kind of guard mode. So, you would have defense frames instead of iframes, where you just BAM! And then whenever people tried to hit you, they would bounce off more easily, even if they have a heavier weapon. That kind of thing. I think that'd be cool, because rolling whenever you have that much armor on doesn't really fit, and it'd probably extend into the stone armor if you didn't have enough if you went above like 50% roll, you would go into defensive stance instead of trying to roll. Let's see. Alright, to dexterity. If you have low dexterity, you can't backstab people. Or unless they're like naked and you have a backstab weapon, like a dagger. But I would have 3 things determine if you can backstab people. Or even parry. I like to see something with parries too, same as backstabs. Because backstabs are broken, and parries, if you, well, they're a bit worse than backstabs, but they're harder to pull off. People don't complain. I'd like to see some logic put in here. So, first thought, dexterity. Keeps going black on me. For dexterity. The more dexterity you have, the more ability you have to backstab people, which circles into the armor requirement. So if somebody is wearing no armor, then you can have low dex and backstab them. My neck hurts. Yeah, that's what Calc 3 will do to you. Long classes, long days. I'm recording this at midnight. So, what would happen is, if you had low dexterity, you could not backstab somebody with even middling armor, like chain armor. It'd simply be impossible. So, if you had higher dexterity, the more ability you had to backstab people. If you had, if somebody was wearing super ultra armor, you probably wouldn't have a chance to backstab them at all, unless you had, say, like 70 dexterity. I mean, probably not even that. You'd have to, probably if you have that kind of armor on, then, I mean, there'd have to be something between the pants and the chest piece that determines your backstab ability. So if you have a super chest and or have naked legs, it'd probably kind of negate the effect a little bit, a lot, kind of. So you're probably wearing like light middling armor kind of a thing. I'm not quite sure on that part, but. And then the third thing that goes into backstabbing would be your weapon. So you have weapons like the dagger. The dagger would have the lowest dexterity requirement to backstab somebody, because it's easy to backstab somebody. It's easy to find the chink in their armor. That's what I'm basing dexterity off of. Because if somebody like me, I might run behind somebody with very large armor. I'd be like, where's the backstab point? Where's the chink in your armor? And I'd just be at a loss, and you'd turn around and punch me, because that's what you do. You're strong. But if I had high dexterity, I'd run behind you, I'd immediately find that point, and bam, and you'd be backstabbed. For weapons like anything as it gets larger, more unwieldy, like a rapier. A rapier would be tough to backstab with, because you not only have something in your, I mean, with a dagger you got something like this, it's easy to find where to backstab, but with a rapier you have something, well, I can't show it on camera, it's too big. You'd be tougher, but then you go to katanas, and then maces. Maces wouldn't be able to backstab. Sorry about the wildlife out here. Them ducks and fishes, they're distracting me. Damn these fish, they drive me to drinking. Wait, no, distraction, I don't know. Anyway, so as you get to katanas, it gets tougher, long swords, etc., until eventually there are just weapons that you can't do it. God, it keeps turning off. So it's something like a Zweihander. It might have a very just like that much of being able to, but you wouldn't be able to do it with like an axe, anything like that, unless they had no armor on. If you're wearing no armor, then I can run up behind you and just stick anything in your back. I mean, that makes sense. That's what I'm thinking for dexterity. It's freezing up again, isn't it? My voice has gone deep too? No? Maybe? Okay, there we go. So then after that, I have the new stat, because there's always a new stat. Agility. Agility would be special. It would make you run faster, make you roll faster. If you had enough agility, then you could change your roll speed. Now, something I've been thinking about with agility. Swing faster. Now, in the current system, that would be impossible, because you'd just be stun locking people left and right. But I did give it a little bit of thought, and it makes sense to be able to swing faster, but then I got an idea on poise. Aha, using your brain. What my thought is that as you have a poise meter, you have an anti-poise meter, which activates after you get stunned. So after you get stunned, you can continuously be stunned as your poise meter is filled. But the moment your poise meter is filled, there's an anti-poise meter. So that way, if once that anti-poise meter gets filled, which would be like half the size of your poise meter, once that breaks, you're free to dodge, roll, swing, anything. The stun is completely gone. I mean, you're only going to stay there and take the punches for so long. That's my thought on poise and agility. It would effectively get rid of stun locking, as I can see it. If you get trapped in narrow space between a phantom and the host, you're screwed. There's no way out of that. Sorry. And then intelligence and faith. These ones I think would be really fun. And then attunements afterward. Intelligence. I would like intelligence to... I see intelligence as like a crafty kind of... I mean, they're crafty people. They do spells and stuff. They have knowledge. Haha. I'm thinking of two things. Stealth is the first thing. What I'm thinking for that is the more intelligence you have, the more invisible you become. So if you have low to no intelligence, then there is no texture change. But if, say, you had like 50 intelligence, then at longer distance you would be completely invisible. It would be a thief effect. At middling intelligence, 30 intelligence, you'd have like a fog ring effect. And whenever you really gouge it, the closer you can get without being seen. And then I would like to have sniper spells. So, not having to lock on to shoot people. This would go into the strafing mode. You enter strafing mode with a catalyst in your hand, then you're able to effectively aim it. So you would be able to switch between aiming and locking on. They would be fast spells. They would be sniper spells. Also maybe kind of getaway spells, like smoke cloud, etc. They do nothing except make a smoke cloud, maybe decrease visibility, that kind of thing. And faith. Faith, I thought about a little bit. I'm thinking projectile tracking. So the more faith you have, the better your projectiles track. So if you have a bow and arrow, then it'll track pretty much like the arrows do in Dark Souls for all of the enemies. That kind of thing. The spells themselves would be shotgun type spells. They would be close range, large effect, GTFO spells, and also revealing spells. Since faith and intelligence are very much opposed, you would be able to find, instead of just reveal your enemies, you'd be able to find them. So you could cast a miracle, and it might alert you, so that, like, if it's a low faith spell, it might alert you that somebody's in the vicinity. You might have an aura, and then it suddenly turns red, and you're like, oh crap, there's somebody around here. There's an enemy nearby. High faith spells, they might actually have orbs that go out and search and things like that can be destroyed. And so if you kill one, you know there's somebody around, they know what's up, and if you don't kill the orb, then it comes back and it shows you where to go and where he is and points at him, that kind of a thing. That'd be just really cool. Revealing spells and shotgun spells. Shotgun preacher. Attunement. I really like the idea of a third type of magic that doesn't rely on you, like your stats. But attunement, I have something kind of cool for that. I'm thinking it would still go with something like Pyro, but I'm thinking it would be more of a support spell. So instead of having stuff that you throw that does damage, it would be more of like Iron Flesh, self buffs, shield buffs, weapon buffs, speed buffs, those kinds of things, and then some projectile spells, things like that. Combustion, obviously, a couple of fireballs. But something else I was thinking is base attunement off of skill as well. This one would be much easier to gauge, though. If an enemy is within a certain range, I'm taking this kind of from like attunement, you're in tune with your environment kind of a thing. The strength of your pyromancies, etc., would, not etc., just like pyromancies or whatever the extra thing is, would gain strength based on how long you're around enemies, how many enemies are around you, and how long you go without getting hit while in the vicinity of these enemies. So, in that way, what you'd be able to do is you'd be able to essentially charge it up. Yeah.
Where you at?
I'm over here.
Up top?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Using this light?
No.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking for that. And as your attunement is raised, you not only get more slots for spells and such, but you get a faster refresh rate. And, of course, a higher damage output. So, you might not even level up your Pyromancy Flame at all. If we were putting it in Dark Souls terms, who knows what it'll be. So, that was pretty much all that I had to say. I really love the open worldness of Dark Souls, but I also really love the Nexus. So I was thinking, why not have, since you have an allegiance, it would be a home base. This is back to what I was at in the beginning. What this would essentially be is it would be a place where you can, where some NPCs reside as you find them along the way. You'd be able to meet up with friends here. You could warp out to where you are in the land. Things like that. I said meet friends, right? And also, did I already talk about friends, maybe? I'll say it again then. What I was thinking is, I would like hosts. Multiple hosts. So, you can be in a world with your friend. Oh wait, I already said this, didn't I? I can't even remember, but pretty much more options for being online with people. So having people in your world, or rather be in theirs, but that kind of thing would be multiple hosts. The hosts could do whatever they wanted to each other. They could co-op, so they might use like a friendship ring in each other's presence. They activate it and they're friends, or maybe, well, if they don't activate those, then they're enemies. Or they're just neutral, whatever. You can do whatever they want. So, and then of course being able to meet up with friends. So you might have an item where you could type in a passcode, something like that, and then your friend would type in the same passcode and you would search for that person with the same passcode, and so you could meet up with people, and then that way you would be able to summon randoms. All summoning would be random, but you could meet up with your friends. It wouldn't be quite so random sometimes. I like the way that summons are random. I like the way invasions are random. Having multiple hosts in a world would make it to where invasions and hosts would be in the same thing. Make it a lot more risky if you're just in a random world. Of course, you could set it to that, be in a random with random people. Of course, if there are multiple hosts that friended up, then there will be more chances of invasions. There would, of course, be more. There would be worse enemies. They would level up. They would act like co-ops. If somebody died, they'd just go back to the save point, and if you wanted to, you could go back to the save point too. Just run back, and the enemies would still be there, or would be gone. You'd be able to kind of run back with your friend. It slowed down, didn't it? Yep. Okay. That general thing, I like an open world idea. I'd like it to hinge less on progression, not progression, but more on discovery than true progression. That would also that would also help the PvE aspect, because you wouldn't have just a path, but you have multiple paths and lead places and circles and shortcuts and things like that. So more would be in the ambient nature of what you're in. It wouldn't just be dark root and then basin and then berg, that kind of thing. Be less split up. That was actually what I was thinking would be for Dark Souls. I was really excited. But it looks like I am just talking and talking and talking, so I'm going to cut this short. This is Photos 999, the were plant. Out! If I can find the stop button. Ah!